Hi, I'm Elizabeth Ellington, and thank you for joining me today on this short masterclass on Does Your House Have Hidden Money? I'm the owner of Vacation Rental Profit Lab. I've been a real estate investor since 2000, so let's find out. I am going to try to respect your time and keep this under 10 minutes, but give you a lot of information during that time. Now, when you want to make money, you want to have a problem. You want to solve a problem. So a good business solves a problem. There's a problem in our country, and it's that there aren't enough houses. Here's how you can help. But first, let's look at how we got here. This is a look going all the way back to the 1900s of how many new homes were built each decade. And you see something wonky here. From 2000 to 2009, there were 14.5 million houses added to the inventory. And then this last decade, from 2010 to 2019, there were only 7 million homes added to the inventory. Well, think about what happened in 2007, 8, and 9. People were buying houses like gangbusters with not enough income, getting multiple mortgages, getting 100% rates, not putting any money down, and it blew up in our faces. So what happened is around 2008 and 9, home builders stopped building. And that has carried over, and we've seen the reflection of that. So there is a gap of 7 to 10 million homes that are missing in the US, and we're feeling the pinch of it right now. A lot of communities don't have the inventory, and it may be the same in your country too if you're international. Now, who is this for? It's better if you're a homeowner because you can do permanent things to the house. A renter is a little bit more hemmed in, but you may be able to work out something with the homeowner. Having extra space is key, and a wide variety is good. Having no HOA is best, but we can work with that, possibly. And having a success mindset or a guest-focused mindset. Now, there's a new way to win. It's using current inventory for multiple needs. Now, let's just say you have a really small bedroom that is not used. You could rent that for probably about $100 a month as storage for someone. Let's say you don't want to block off areas of your house for overnight guests, but you have an extra area and a bathroom. That could be a photography studio for someone who does newborn photos, boudoir, family photos, corporate photos. If you have a swimming pool, you can rent it out on Swimply for between 25 to the sky's the limit, depending on how big you have of a pool in an area, how many people you can house, if you have a private bathroom. Another thing you can do is RV space, and people will pay about $800 a month for a hookup. That'll include electricity, water, and things like that. So there'll be some expenses, but that's a lot of money. Now, the real money is in accommodations, both short-term and long-term. And then we're going to talk about midterm too. There's a thing that was popular and still is called house hacking. And the origins of it are investors wanted to get loans for houses they were going to flip or become rentals, but the banking restrictions made it so that you had to put more down and pay a higher interest rate if it was an investment property. So if they used part of that space as their primary residence, they could get a regular homeowner mortgage. So they would buy a home that had a basement and live in part of it, fix up the other part and rent it out, or flip the whole thing. They would buy a duplex, a triplex, a quad, and do the same thing. And then they would have their mortgages covered. So they'd be living for free. They would be gaining equity because they were mostly improving these places. But now there's a new house hacking, and that's for hospitality. You can get a lot more money per night if you're in the hospitality space. Think about what you pay for a hotel as opposed to what you pay per night to live in your home. Now, the market is fairly saturated because a lot of investors rush to do this. And so, like in my area, I live near Asheville in North Carolina. We have doubled in the last few years the number of vacation rentals, and we're really seeing that travel demand is not keeping up with it. So there are a lot of empty nights. So a lot of people are going for midterm, which is furnished. There are traveling nurses that come and stay for 13 weeks, generally is what their contract is. I'm seeing now that are just doing 4 weeks because there's so much competition. They're stealing from other people before they finish their contract, or they're going with a shorter contract. So the nurses or the medical professionals have more leverage. So that's definitely something that you want to do furnished, because who's going to buy furnishings for 13 weeks or less? Also, people moving to an area and they want to get the feel of the area. They can't find a house because houses are going so quickly. They want a furnished place as well. They just want to pack their belongings, keep them in storage, and then bring their suitcase and come stay somewhere. You can see this woman is so happy because she's making money in her house that is too big for her, and so she's using extra space for it. What your house needs. It needs a separate entrance. Now, don't worry. The 2 houses that I've done this in the last 5 years have not had separate entrances, but I have created that. They do need a full bathroom because they're going to need to bathe. And 300 square feet is about the smallest you can go. But this would work in a double garage, in a basement. You need windows. And if you have a basement and it's not a walkout basement, we can work with that generally. It needs a kitchenette. Those are really inexpensive to put in as long as you have water. And then you need a barrier. The first house I did this in, I wasn't sure about it. So I just closed the door, and then I put another door and some sound blankets. And then once I realized how much insane money I was making, I went ahead and had someone drywall it. But it would be super easy for a new owner to just break through that. That would not be a problem if they wanted to turn the house from a duplex back into a regular home. The home I'm in now, I have done the same thing with the doorways because this house was built in the 1920s. And I didn't want to disturb the beautiful large trim around the doorway. So I've done the same thing. I've put door soundproofing, added a new door, and locks on both sides. But if somebody wants to come in and make this a whole home again, it would take about 10 minutes. It would not be a problem. But there's enough of a barrier that I never see them, they never see me, unless we happen to be getting in our cars at the same time. That is the only time I ever see a guest. I do not see them. There's also things you can do outside that really up the value. What your neighborhood needs. It needs to be safe. You need to have HOA approval if you live in an area that has an HOA or a COA, homeowners association or condo association. You have to follow the rules of the zoning that your home is in. So you need to make a call to the city or the county zoning department and have a discussion with them, get the person's name. You always want to make sure that you are absolutely covered. If you were going to open a coffee shop and it was in your home and they said no one can run a coffee shop out of your home, they're just going to shut you down. So you really need to make sure that your HOA and the city or county has the zoning that gives you permission to do this with your home. It needs to be in a good location. Yes, you can do this way out in the country, even if there aren't many things to do in the area, but destinations that people travel to, places that have hospitals and universities, really do better. And then you need to put some wow factor in there. And that's something that I love to do. And this is part science and part art. The science is following your code. If you have a basement, but your ceiling is only 6 feet tall, that's a pretty quick no, you're not going to be able to use that as living space. You could make sure it's waterproof, and you might be able to use it for storage, but it's not going to be a living situation or a hospitality situation. And then part of it is art. How do you make a place so that people are excited to stay there and give you great reviews, or when they look at it, they say, I am going to be so happy to live here for the next year or two. This is a fabulous place. I see too many investors jumping in, going the cheapest route they absolutely possibly can, and it backfires because sometimes when you don't spend enough or you don't get the right mix of fittings and furnishings, it will backfire. But I have had really good success rehabbing homes and have picked up almost everything design-wise on the clearance aisle. So I don't recommend contractor grade, but I do recommend getting something that's unusual and spectacular on clearance or at Restore or on Facebook Marketplace. So spend your money wisely. Don't waste it, but don't hoard it either. And then if you feel your house is a good fit, think about the area that you have. Really kind of walk around and look at it with new, fresh eyes and say, is this a place that I could turn into a place that people would pay to stay or to live? And you've checked with zoning and you've checked to make sure you either don't have an HOA, or if you do, what you intend to do with it is permissible, then let's chat. I want to get on a Zoom call with you or FaceTime because I want to see your space. I want to have a good understanding. This is a personal one-on-one call where I'm going to devote my time to your space and how you can make money with it and how maybe we can partner together. So set up a time right now, and thank you for staying with me.